Hey buddy! Welcome back to the channel and to World of Warships. So today I will feature a ship that I haven't featured on the channel for a while, and that is of course the Tier 10 Russian premium cruiser, the Smolensk. Fun fact, Swedish destroyer, Tier 10 destroyer, HMS Småland. It's kind of a region in Sweden called Småland. And if you are from this region, Småland, you will be called by other Swedes that you are Smolensk. I'm not really sure if Wargaming is aware of this fun fact, but so if you're Smolensk, then you are from the area in Sweden called Småland. I thought that was just a little bit of fun fact. Or probably not. I don't know. Sorry. What can I say about this ship, the Smolensk? I mean, we all know how just insane, broken and overpowered this ship is. Not really sure what Wargaming was going for when they created and released this ship in this live version. Of course, it's Russian, so Russian bias and all that, but I don't think anyone can say anything else than this is just taking a huge dump on pretty much every other nation cruiser in the game. If I should say one positive thing about the Smolensk, which I'm not really certain it's really positive, but it's actually one of the very few counters to all the other Russian broken ships. Ships like Petropavlovsk, Nevsky, the coming Slava, etc., etc. Probably soon some new super hyper OP Russian destroyer that will, of course, switch out Khabarovsk, which Wargaming actually nerfed to death pretty much. And I can't really see Wargaming letting one of their classes, like destroyers, being that weak compared to other nations' destroyers. I mean, like, Kleber is so much stronger than Khabarovsk in pretty much every single way. So I'm just thinking that they will soon release a new Super Khabarovsk for the Russian line. And it will be a combination of Harugumo, Kleber, Daring, and maybe some Summers Torps or something as well. And of course, soon, Russian carriers. I'm thinking, you know, those flying aircraft carriers from Captain America movie. That is something like I'm picturing the Russian carriers would be like. Invisible, of course, because they have those clothing, invisible technique, cloaking device, and of course they will be flying up in the air, so you won't even be able to get to them with a destroyer or something like that. So that is probably the one only positive thing that I can say about the Smolensk. It actually counters some of the other broken Russian ships. Like Stalingrad as well. Stalingrad pretty much sits on the competition, but if you smoke up in Smolensk and you keep your distance, you can pretty much burn down Stalingrad as well. Same as Kremlin. Slava, of course, with this new special way Wargaming implemented this ship, that it actually is more efficient sailing on the A or J line, shooting like 24 kilometer salvos. But if you pick the range build, which I actually recommend on the Smolensk, which you can see here, I have 19.2 kilometer range. Then you can probably reach even base camping Slavas as well. So what can I say about this match? Well, it's a 4-cap domination game on Greece map. And usually it's not really a big deal to carry the team to a victory if you're playing the Smolensk. But this team and this match was actually one of the hardest carries I think I have ever needed to do to secure a win. I mean, this was an uphill struggle from the get-go and to the last second almost. So I usually try and position myself quite in the central of the map when I'm playing the Smolensk, because of course with my huge range, if I smoke up, I can pretty much reach the majority of the ships on the map, and I will always try and go and escort the friendly destroyers as well, helping them secure the caps and protecting them in their gunfights against enemy destroyers. But if you're looking at the ship status on top at the center, you can see that we are down 2 ships. I mean, we already lost 3 destroyers and we lost 5 ships in total, and the enemy team has 3 caps to R1. So I mean, this already looks like a guaranteed loss. So this, I will have my work cut out for me if I will be able to affect this game in any way or form. So I'm just trying to engage every ship that I pretty much see that gets spotted in my vicinity. I see our Jutland is actually pushing into the central cap, so of course I will try and keep an eye out for him as well and try to support him as much as possible. Smolensk actually has pretty decent AA, even though I don't ever build for AA, because that is a waste of time. And if you're interested in my complete build, I have another Smolensk video on my channel where you can see my complete build with my captain skills and my modules. And you can also see, of course, the effect that build has had on my previous games in this ship. Now, Jutland is actually looks like being pretty successful, capping the central cap. I will try, of course, to try and engage the enemy destroyers as soon as they are spotted, like that Z-46 north of A-cap, because I know that our destroyer will have a really tough time fighting 3 versus 1 regarding the caps on this map. And since this is a 4-cap domination game, our last destroyer, the Jutland, will of course play a huge role, because it's usually it's always down to who commands the caps. As you can see, we are still down 2 ships towards the enemy team, and we are equal on caps, but of course they have a huge lead of almost 300 points so far. So we just have to do whatever we can to try to take out low health targets, and of course shooting at those pesky destroyers anytime they get spotted. And in this kind of situation, when you're down and you're fighting an uphill struggle against the enemy team, I usually make a pretty good point at always calling out spotted targets that are on low health, trying to get your teammates to help you focus fire one specific target. Because if many on your team focus the same target, he will usually die pretty easy. Like this Donskoy, for instance. If we could get like 2 or 3 guys to shoot at this Donskoy with only 7,000 health remaining, then he would probably die in just a couple of seconds, even though he might have a heal. So always try to call out low health targets as many times as possible. I know it's quite frustrating when someone is spamming the chat, but rather someone is spamming the chat with good things, good advice, than just writing some cancerous bullshit. I mean, it actually doesn't really look good for us at all. Our Jutland actually took out the enemy kid in the central cap, which was a great job by him. But as you can see, we are still down on ships, and one of their destroyers, I'm guessing the Kagero, which was last seen on the C cap, is right now flipping the D cap. So of course we soon will have a disadvantage in caps as well. Now I'm getting a bit of frustration here because it looks like I'm the only guy shooting at these ships. I have a huge bundle of ships behind me. I have a Rune, Izumo, I have the carrier and also the Bismarck. But it feels like I'm pretty much the only one fighting all the 5 enemy ships, I think, that are in the A cap. It doesn't really look like we have efficiency in our fire direction. But of course Smolensk is very strong and it's capable to actually do some really decent work by himself. So but of course it's always nice to have some teammates supporting as well. But I'm pretty much the only one getting targeted by the enemy team, it seems. And of course that also has to do with me being the closest one. And that is actually something that I think the Smolensk is actually pretty decent at maneuvering. So even though you always have that bullshit protection, like Smolensk has so thin armor that the most ships will overpen it. So you usually survive a lot of situations where any other cruiser would pretty much be devastated. But that said, you have great gun angles, as you can see. If you look at my ship angle in the bottom left corner, you can see that I can be extremely angled and still get all the guns on target. And of course, if they manage to land a lot of shots at me, I can just play with my throttle a bit forward and dodge many of their salvos. So now actually, for the first time in the entire game, we have the advantage on ships. We managed to kill off so many ships that the enemy team only have 4 remaining ships, but they still have a cap advantage. But our Jutland is actually still making a great job at securing our bases. So he was one of the most efficient players on this team in this match. So I'm just trying to call on my Rune and Izumo to help me push into the A cap and try to deal with the 2 remaining ships hiding behind those islands. The enemy team's Rune and Dmitry Donskoy. So Rune gets spotted and I will of course try to set some additional fires on him. I managed to set 18 fires so far and kill off 3 enemy ships. And of course, alongside all other pros of this ship, it's also a pretty decent fire starter, of course.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
And as you can see, Jutland is already on its way north towards the sea cap. So he is just going from klarhet to klarhet, as we say in Swedish. Which means that he goes from one sure thing to another, pretty much, to secure the win for our team. So that was really great work. And our room is right now contesting the A cap as well. So now it actually looks like this is a guarantee win for us, from being a guarantee loss for so long.
Nice work.
And it's actually quite nice, even though it was really frustrating the first half of this game. You know, you really think things about your teammates that you don't really want to say out loud, but it's actually quite fun when you have a match like this where you're really playing the underdog for the first half, and it really looks grim and dark, and it looks like a guarantee win for the enemy team. And somehow some players still left on the team just pulls that last little extra out and just managed to take out ship after ship after ship and securing cap after cap after cap, like our Jutland is doing. I mean, that is probably the most satisfying win you could get in World of Warships, I think. Because just having like an even match from the start to the end, and then you just win by a couple of points. Of course, if it's a nail biter in the last seconds, then of course it's really, I mean, you really get your blood pumping. But this is almost better than that, I think. When you really think you lost the entire game, and then you somehow just manage to pull it together in the last couple of minutes, and you just turn the entire game. And I think Mingles will Jingles has said this many times. It's like a special effect that affects many World of Warship players. That usually when they see that there is a guaranteed win, they just want to win so much harder. I'm not really certain if that was the case of the enemy team in this match. I think they played pretty decent from the start to the finish. But that is for sure a special effect that usually happens in a game, that you are 99% guaranteed a win, and then people just start to YOLO in and suicide, and they just want to win that little bit harder. And then they just lose everything instead, which is kind of hilarious. So as you can see, 23 fires, 150k damage. So, of course, we all know the Smolensk is a very potent ship. And I finish off with my 4th kill. Sadly, no Kraken, but what can you do? So, looking at the post-battle screen results, I mean, this wasn't a monster game, but that wasn't really the purpose of showing this game. It was more the match itself. Number 1 in the team, which is always nice, but usually you end up at the top playing Smolensk. Just wanted to compliment the Jutland and Implacable as well. Really well played. And yeah, pretty decent damage, and of course tanked 2 million, which is pretty decent in a paper armored cruiser. 23 fires, adding up to a bit over 50,000 damage done. And I took 23k damage during the match. And a bit of experience and credits as well. So I want to thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Please leave a like and a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing World of Warship gameplays. Stay safe, have a good one, bye bye.